Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have some scales put onto this guy. This is currently my Cerberus Shaman, but if you watched my unboxing from a couple of days ago, I have some scales loaned in from my buddy Chris, or Christian. I don't know which he goes by. I feel like I've seen him go by both. But I actually just got to hang out with him quite a bit at the California Custom Knife Show. He is the man behind Cerberus Knives and Cerberus Scales. And so I have these worker shaman scales to put onto my shaman. As you can see, they have a totally different profile from the factory scales. Let me do the one that actually lines up a little better. So this is going to change the shape of the knife fairly drastically. These are also micarta, whereas these are Spyderco TerraTough scales right now. I've been meaning to pull this knife apart anyways, frankly. I disassembled it after it took an accidental dip in the ocean, and everything seems to be good except for the stop pin for some reason. Has like some rust forming around it, so I'm going to clean that as well while I'm digging in here. But I'm going to go ahead and pull these scales off, put these scales on. He sent me the liners and everything, so I'll be using the liners he sent me and really just using the blade from my Cerberus Shaman. And once I send these back to him, then I'll be throwing these Spyderco scales back on. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and bust into this. And I'm also, for the first time, using my B. Weiss awesome work mat here. So there's an unboxing video on that as well if you saw it, but if you haven't, it is from B. Weiss, and this is the Millie PM2 Para 3 Club edition of the mat, and I'm excited to see how it does for helping me keep everything in its proper place. So yeah, let's go ahead, and I'm going to move these out of the way for the moment. That's the clip he gave me with the longer screws, because this back spacer, you have to use longer screws because it totally changes the way the clip even mounts. So I've got all of this hardware here. Let's put it in the spot where it's supposed to go. Alright, now I'm just going to start breaking this apart. I believe I need T8s for the body screws, correct? I think I need my T6 just for the clip screws. And let's see, I do. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the clip off first. It seems like a good place to start here. This is, of course, a Lynch clip. The one that he gave me is also a Lynch clip, just a different length. So I've always used these short Lynch clips with the clip going up so much higher. I'm wondering if I'm going to prefer the long clip or not, but you can see the difference in length there. Yeah, so this will be my first time using one of the longer ones. I guess we'll be seeing how that goes as well. But there is the clip that was on here, and now I'm going to go ahead and just start pulling this apart. I am not the expert of knife disassembly, but I figure it's probably good for people to see a layman like myself do it every now and then, because if I can do it, so can you. There's that and that. Let's see. Get this one out here. I don't believe the last time I put this knife together that I Loctited any of these. And perfect. So I'm going to put my hardware over here, make sure I'm not mixing any of it up. See if that wants to come out. Feels like it's out to me. There we go. And this last one. So these screws obviously go into the back spacer here. And you're going to see when this comes apart how different these back spacers are. And the reasoning for that is the clip. To be able to relocate the clip, the modified back spacer is absolutely necessary. Plus, the way that this back spacer, if I were to put it into these scales, it wouldn't sit flush with the edges of the knife like it does on here. So, alright, let's get this stop pin out of here, because that I'm going to need. It doesn't want to, there we go. There's my stop pin. I'm just going to leave this assembled It's funny, there's even like a little bit of rust showing around where that was on the Taro Tough, so I'll probably give that a little bit of a cleaning as well, but everything is still fine in here. I'm just going to leave that the way it is, set it aside. Here is the blade. Don't really see any corrosion forming. Put my washer there. Yeah, I think I'm still looking pretty good in here. This, of course, started as a Tree Rex Shaman, so it had the wooden scales on it. If you've been following the life of this knife, then you'll have seen it's already undergone quite the transformation, but there's that. So I actually am not going to need that stop pin, which is great. That'll give me time to clean this off camera and see if I can get it to where it's not rusty anymore. It's funny that this being a Rex 45 blade, I don't know if I just didn't clean that well enough when I was disassembling it last time specifically to clean it or what, but the blade is doing fine, and it's just that stop pin, so I'll have to get that nice and cleaned up. Alright, now let's real quick look at the differences between these back spacers. So if you look here, this is the way it's going to go now, I think, right? So the distance from the holes and how much material there is above them, it's going to come a little further up to get to the edge of the scales, and then we have our new clip location all the way back here. And these, I believe, are threaded. Yeah, they're threaded internally. So these longer screws that are on this clip are designed to go through the scale, through the liner, or I guess not the liner, because it goes past the liner. So they're going to go all the way through the scale material and then into that backspacer, and the backspacer is what's actually going to be retaining the clip screws. So pretty cool. Let me set this backspacer aside here, and we'll get to it, I suppose. I don't remember what I just pulled this baggie from. I'm sure it was this stuff. That makes sense. Alright, anyway. Backspacer, blade, clip, hardware. Now we just need scales. So, I'm going to go ahead and start this way. I like to put the stop pin in, and then, the pivot's already in on this side. Complicates things. Maybe I'll give it a shot going this way. I don't usually start on this side. I usually start on this side, but when in Rome, right? All right, let's start here. I've got that already down. I did bring my KPL. I always like to put just a dab here and a dab there. Nothing crazy, but just enough to keep everything functioning nice and smoothly. Oh yeah. Now, put a little dab here, little dab there. I am very delicate with the amount of KPL I put on, frankly, because I think it's easy to put more than you need. A little bit goes a long way with this stuff. Alright, so there's that in place. Now, I should be able to, let's see, that's going to go right there. We're just going to see if we can sandwich this together and get lucky. Nope. Alright, here, let's set the stop pin in. And then we'll put this on. Okay. So that's about how that's supposed to fit. See if we can keep these lined up enough that I can get things kind of started with this scale sandwiched on top of there. Good. Alright. I can say one thing. It seemed to be making fitment fairly easy, although I pulled the backspacer into a weird spot. Alright, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and toss this pivot screw into here. See if we can go ahead and start holding things together. And be very loose with this, not trying to tighten anything down, not even remotely yet. Just want to make sure I'm holding everything together. We'll see if I'm close enough on alignment to get this one started. Feels like it, good. And then we're gonna go ahead with this back one here. Excellent. All right, so that should be holding that side of the knife together, and it's already got the pivot screw back here. So let's get these body screws in loosely. And then I don't want to start tightening anything down until everything is in. Alright, so everything appears to be held together at the moment. Nothing is tight yet, but the knife is in one piece, so that is good. Alright, looks pretty good to me. I like that. It feels more substantial in hand, definitely, but not too big. Alright, cool. Let's get this the rest of the way dialed in. So, I'm going to tighten this side down a little bit more. See how we're looking on these. Good. I don't need to be crazy tight on these since this knife isn't going to be in this configuration forever, but let's see. Alright, so I'm not centered, but I shouldn't be. I haven't fully tightened the pivot down yet. Let's see how we're looking there. Okay, it's functional. Let's see if I've got play. I do have a little bit of play. Much better on lockup. Centering looks almost perfect. Action feels pretty good. Let that KPL smear around in there a little bit more. Alright, that's feeling good to me. So, profile is totally changed. Now all we got to do is get the clip on there, and this is going to sit real deep now because it is a deep carry clip going on to the deepest possible spot on the knife, which I like to see. If you know me, that probably won't come as much of a surprise. Let's see, get those started, and good. Just gonna push them to where it'll sit a little bit more flush. I'm not tightening any of these to the point where they're actually tight yet. I'm just getting them all to sit in the right spot. Can be a little bit tricky getting the screws through the hole of the clip, or getting the driver, I should say, through to the heads through there, but they're already on. Sweet. The clip definitely sits in an interesting spot compared to, I thought it was going to kind of cant that way a little bit more. We'll see how that does in pocket. I think it looks cool the way that it sits on the knife. Interesting for sure. Alright, let's see how that does. I can feel the clip in hand, but it's not a problem. We'll see how it does in pocket. You can see that the knife is actually going to sit into the pocket, and you're not going to see any of the scales sticking out because the loop of the clip ends beyond the end of the scales, which is a true deep carry clip. That is about as deep as they come. So this is now a shaman wearing worker scales. A worker shaman, if you will. And I think it looks pretty sweet. I think it turned out great. It will go very well next to my worker 3, which is of course my para 3 wearing the Cerberus worker scales. So these are nice. I like this micarta pattern as well. It looks like it's just kind of an OD micarta to me. and I happen to like OD, if you didn't know that about me. It's got a good level of texture to it. Definitely feels different from the Tarot Tough, but it's similar. I don't know. It's like a little bit grittier maybe. Not by much, but totally different shape. Really changes the feel of the Shaman to have it in this shape. Interesting for sure. I'm curious as well. I might play with some different clips on here just to see how they all match up and fit, because the way that this sits is so different from any clip. I feel like usually the clips end up kind of right in the middle of the scale, and this functions the same way. It's landing totally on the scale, but it's just right there at the edge, which is interesting. I guess looking at the hole placement, I should have realized that it was going to go that way, but for some reason it's surprising to me now that I'm seeing it on the knife. So anyway, there is the Shaman in worker scales. These are from Cerberus Knives. I will of course be linking to Cerberus Knives down below, so you'll be able to see these scales and configurations and things that he has. And I also currently have his prototype Arion knife, which is being made by Artisan, and this is a knife that I believe is going to be available relatively soon. But I know in the unboxing video some people recommended that I kind of put them side by side once I've got the Shaman built. So here you go. There's the knives side by side. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This will be a separate video, but I'm enjoying this prototype. I've got to do my first impressions right about now, actually. But I'm liking what he's up to over there. Cerberus Knives is somebody to have your eye on for sure, and he's a cool dude. Like I said, I spent a couple hours with him at California Custom Knife Show. That was yesterday, as of when I'm filming this, but was great to kind of put a face to the name. Even though we'd talked on the phone already, it's different meeting somebody in person, and his work is good. These scales fit just right. I think I'm actually better on centering right now than I've been able to get with those Fireside Coast scales in a while. Although I haven't really taken the proper time to try to adjust for perfect centering on those. I've just kind of gotten it to where the action is right, and then I've kind of left it alone. But this feels good. Lockup is solid. Everything is fitting right. Interesting. So it's going to be spending a little time in pocket like this, and then ultimately I will be doing a full review on it in this configuration, because it's kind of a different knife now. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys for watching. It is a pleasure as always, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks, guys.